Hi everyone, this is GoSuLoZ here, and I wanted to start making kind of a video log series on my AJATT journey. Um, so, a little bit about my background. I first started learning Japanese around 2009, something like that. It had always been kind of an interest of mine, and while I was doing my first degree at university, the university offered modules outside of mathematics, which is the degree that I was doing. You could do them in any area of the university, and I thought it'd be really cool to take Japanese. So I did 2 modules in Japanese a year for 2 years. So I did Japanese beginners and then Japanese intermediate 1 over 2 years, from a period of around 2009 to 2011. Going into this, I had started using remembering the kanji. So before I'd even started this course, I was already up to around 16 to 1700 kanji. And I'd also started doing, I started doing a little bit of Tai Kim, like maybe the first couple of lessons of Tai Kim. Unfortunately, when I'd started university, I was kind of obviously so far ahead of everyone else there that I got slack. I didn't continue with RTK. I stopped, so I was using the kanji.kohi forums for my SRSing. So I'm not sure if you're aware. They've got kind of their own SRS in kanji.kohi for anyone that hasn't visited there. It's similar to Anki, but I always kind of, as soon as I found out about Anki, I always kind of wanted to put it into Anki, so it gave me less incentive to continue it, because I was kind of like, why am I using this application when I want to use Anki? So a combination of reasons, I stopped doing RTK. I kind of coasted along for 2 years in the classes. I would estimate I probably got to A2 level, probably not even A2 level after 2 years of classes. We finished Genki 1. I think we finished Genki 2, or we at least got most of the way through Genki 2, but by no means did I know everything in Genki 1 and Genki 2. I obviously knew all of the kanji and a far amount more, but I didn't know all of the vocab or all of the grammar in Genki 1 and Genki 2. Once I finished in 2011, I kind of took a little bit of a break from Japanese, and then I got interested in it again in 2012, and I went to Japan in September 2012. I did a little bit of kind of a refresh for a couple of weeks before I went, but when I went over there, I was really kind of disappointed in my Japanese ability. I could barely speak to anyone. I could barely understand anyone. So that rather than making me demotivated, that made me very motivated. And while I was actually out there, I started doing RTK again. And then I think around January time in 2013, I finished RTK 1 for the first time. I think it was 2046 characters they had back then, or whatever it was in the old kind of volume 3, or volume 4, or whatever it was. I finished that and I felt great. I thought, right, this is brilliant. And then there was a little supplementary pack, which I think is now included in the new one, so it brings you up to 2200. I did that, and then I kept that up for about a week or two with the reviews, and then I thought, right, I'm done with this now. I've done it. I don't need to keep up with the reviews anymore, so I stopped doing the reviews, and I focused on core 2K 6K. So I did core 2K 6K. I think I probably did up to around 2,000 of them, something like that. So I've actually got the core 2K 6K window up here, so you can see this is what it is. So, I mean, now I'm not really using it. I've got 100 out of it or something. I'm barely using it now. It's just like more of a resource for me. I'm not going through it. But previously that was all I got my source. I wasn't doing any kind of immersion. That was literally all of my learning, was just going through doing core 2K 6K sentences. It didn't work. I got bored of it once I hit about 2,000 sentences. I can't remember how long it took me. I was doing quite a few a day. I think it only took me maybe 2 months. I think I did about 1,000 a month or something. I was doing a lot of sentences. maybe it was a little bit. I think I was doing it while I was doing RTK at the same time because I'm impatient, but I don't remember. But anyway, I burnt out, got bored, didn't like it, kind of quit around, I think it was around March, April sort of time. I quit Japanese, and then I've kind of always, ever since then, so that was 2013, so that was like 5 years ago. I've kind of always wanted to start up Japanese again. So I used to play a couple of games in Japanese. I'd put my phone into Japanese occasionally. I'd tell people that I could speak Japanese, even though my Japanese level was obviously very, very poor, beginner level at best, and it still is. But so yeah, I'd always wanted to pick it up, but I never did for some reason, until around about November sort of time, October, November time, 2017. So a couple of months ago. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was seeing Matt versus Japan's video, or there was something that kind of spurred me on to wanting to learn Japanese again. So what I did was I got Memrise. I started using Memrise. I started using Nuke Marine's suggested guide, whatever it is, suggested learner's guide or whatever. Started doing that on Memrise. I did that for about a week, I think, and then I didn't really like it because the majority of it, because I'd already done Core 2K, I'd already done like 2,000-3,000 sentences from that. It was a similar sort of thing, and I really don't like Memrise. Memrise is basically like a worse version of Anki that's online. So I really didn't like the course, but from watching Matt versus Japan's video, I thought I'm going to pick up AJATT again. So I actually read through pretty much, I'm pretty sure, the entire table of contents, or at least most of it, back around 2009, maybe even earlier, maybe 2008. I think that may have been what got me started on wanting to learn Japanese, and why I took the classes was from reading AJATT. But back then I went a little bit too hardcore. I literally switched everything into Japanese. I stopped talking to my friends. I'd literally only watch stuff in Japanese. I think I managed about a week before I burnt out and just hated it and thought, oh, this method's stupid. I'll never use this method. So unfortunately, I mean, if I'd have kept it up from back then, obviously, maybe if I didn't go quite as hardcore, maybe if I'd just transitioned into the media and not taken him on face value on a lot of his other stuff. Also, the site started going a little bit weird around that time. He started talking about kind of the new revolution, like close delete sort of things, and he was saying his sentence idea was bad. So I was like, oh, if it's bad, then maybe I shouldn't use it for learning. But I mean, it was more, now I know that it's more just a marketing gimmick, but back then I kind of thought, well, I don't want to have to pay for this new method, but if he's saying that this supersedes his old method, so his old method can't be any good, so I'm just going to trust in the traditional methods of classes and things like that, which obviously is a bad idea. Turned out I wasted a lot of time, but never mind. So fast forwarding to now, so I started doing a bit of Memrise, found Matt versus Japan's channel, started messaging him on Skype, I think. He told me that he's got a Discord. He doesn't really answer questions outside his Discord because it's not fair to his Discord members, obviously. His Patreon, sorry. So I signed up to his Patreon, and then I've been doing kind of AJATT ever since. So I've finished RTK again, RTK 1. So you can see, if I click on here, I've got 2204 that I've learned. A lot of them are mature. You can kind of see how long it's taken me. You can see all the kind of different days where I've done lots and lots of reviews on RTK. Now, Matt suggests that you do RTK 3 straight afterwards. I don't really want to do RTK 3. This may be a bad decision. I don't know. This may come back to bite me in the ass. I should probably just trust him. But even in RTK, I've noticed there's a lot of symbols that I've never seen. And I mean, I read quite a bit now. I read news articles if I can. And I've got a fair bit of manga that I read. I've started trying to read some light novels. I've started trying to read children's books and things like Harry Potter and stuff. And there's a lot of symbols in RTK that I struggle with when I'm coming up to review that I've never seen before. And I've been on another guy's blog, so Brit versus Japan. He's basically given a list of symbols that he has barely seen in RTK. So I'm thinking if there's symbols in that seem like a waste of time to learn, then the majority of the symbols in RTK3 I think are going to be waste of time to learn, so I don't really see the point in learning them. I think a lot of them are, I've heard, kind of weird tree symbols or weird animal symbols or something like that. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm not going to bother, I don't see the point in learning. So my plan with RTK3 is, and what I've been doing now, so you can kind of see I've already added 4. I'm going to be adding, every time a character comes up in my immersion, I'm going to add it to, I'm going to unsuspend it from my RTK3 deck. So I've already got all of RTK3 in there. As soon as I come across it in my immersion environment, I'm going to unsuspend it. So I've done that with a couple already. I've done it with Trap. I've done it for a word in Revenge. There's a character in Revenge which is like 2 turkeys, and the Say one that's in Revenge. It's for like Vendetta. There's 2 more that I've done, but as soon as I come across them in my immersion environment, I'm going to unsuspend them in Anki. So that's kind of what I'm doing with RTK. My plan with AJATT is I've got 3 decks. I've got my AJATT deck, so this is kind of the standard AJATT. Anytime I come across a sentence which is I+1, I'm going to stick it in there. I've actually got, let me see if I can find it. I've got like I'm using Notepad++, so I've got a list of potential sentences that I lay out throughout the day or throughout the week. I'm just going to keep building all these sentences that are potential, and then what I'll do is I'll add them into Anki, and then if they stick, then I stick them on this kind of AJATT master list, and then they're in the deck. So these are all the kind of, this is since I've been doing it the last couple of days, these are all the ones that I've added. So I'll get these from watching anime, like subs to SRS decks. I'll get them from Weblio, website corpuses, just things that I read. Maybe I read some manga or something. I'll stick them in. Yeah, that's where I'm getting these sentences from, basically, which I think is the best way to kind of get sentences. I'm not using any kind of I'm not using the most frequent words, or I'm not kind of using any methodology. I'm just literally, if there's a word that I want to learn, and it's in a sentence that's the perfect kind of I+1 sentence, then I'll stick it on this list, and then eventually I'll just copy and paste it into Anki, and then cut it onto here once I've done, and then I'll look at it in the cold light of day after a couple of days. If I don't like it, I'll delete it. I think it's really good, then I'll keep it, obviously. But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing with AJATT. So I've got the core 2K 6K deck, even though I said I hate it, and you can see I've done 101. But what I'm using this as just basically another corpus, because it's nice, because it's got the kind of voice acted like the speaking on it, which is really nice, actually. So I do value these sentences. If it's a good sentence, I do value it more than these, which I probably shouldn't do, but I do, just because it's got the voice acting. But the majority of these sentences are so boring and dry, and even these 101 that I've learned, if one comes up and it's either too easy or it's just boring or I don't like it, I delete it now. So this used to be 6,000, but I've been going through and I've been deleting kind of stuff that I don't like. Well, sorry, this used to be 6,000, so you can see I've deleted 15 that I didn't like. So this used to be a bit higher. So every time, and I've been doing this this is when I first started. This is kind of left over from when I first started back in November. So you can see these reviews are really, really, really light. So yeah, January I added a bunch there, but you can see I've been doing it since the beginning, really. So these are just left over. I'm deleting them. I may take a decision just to delete this whole deck eventually, because I really don't like using it. But it's just there for now, just in case I happen to come across a word. I paste it into the browser and it finds it in here and it happens to be the perfect one, then fine, I'll use it. Otherwise I'm not going to bother. It's nice to use as a resource. I think I remember reading on AJATT somewhere that Katz talks about pre-made decks, and he says they're a nice resource but you shouldn't learn from them. I think he says something to that effect, so that's kind of what I'm going to try and do with it. And then I've got my Taikim deck. So this is kind of what I do is I go on Taikim. So let's grab Taikim up here. So I've got Taikim here. So I go on Taikim. I go through the lesson, and then I take these sentences. I stick that on the front. I stick that on the back, and then I'll usually paste the word thing in as well, and stick that on the back. So that's kind of how I'm using Taikim. So I'll read through the lesson, and then I'll just stick these example sentences on. Now occasionally, especially since I'm getting to the advanced topics section, so I have finished Taikim again now. So when I was getting to the advanced topics section, a lot of the sentences were way beyond I+1. Like, they just had loads of words that I had no idea what they were, and they were really, really stupid. Well, I thought they were really stupid sentences. Let me see if I can find an example. Okay, I can't find an example, but there's some sentences that are just really long, and I've got loads and loads of like 5 or 6 words that I won't know, so I won't add them. But as long as I've got 1 or 2 per kind of grammar point, then I'm happy. So that's kind of how I'm using Taikim. So so my goal is to kind of, now I've finished Taikim, now I've finished RTK, but only RTK 1. My goal over the next month or so I'm going to start making a blog every kind of 500 sentences. So when I hit 1,000 sentences, I'm going to make a blog entry, and then kind of every 500 sentences, which should roughly align with a month, maybe a little bit less than a month, I'm going to make a new blog post over kind of what I've been studying for that month, or that period, how my comprehension's going. I'm going to kind of track my progress. But my aim is literally, I haven't got it on now because I'm making this video, but I've got a little tablet right in front of my computer that's playing something in Japanese all the time. At the moment, I've been playing Pokemon. I've been playing, there's this series called Folk Tales from Japan, Nihon no Mukashi Banashi. So I've been kind of watching that, which is at a nice kind of level for me. It's at a kind of lower intermediate, kind of beginnerish level. So I've been watching that. I've been listening to Harry Potter the Harry Potter audiobook recently. It's quite far beyond my comprehension. I've seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood anime several times. Because I've seen it so many times, the comprehension's there. A lot of anime, a couple of dramas. So yeah, my aim is basically, anytime there's a word that I come across that I want to know, I'll either paste out. So say there's a word that I want to know, I have another profile. So if I switch profiles, I can show you. So I've got another profile on Anki, which is a subs to SRS profile. You can see I've got a couple of decks on here. So if there's a word I want to know, like let's say, I don't know, Watashi, I'll just put something simple. Then all of these decks come up, and I can kind of see I've got loads and loads and loads of sentences, and I'll pick one from here that's one that I like, and one that's I+1, and then I'll copy that across into my other deck. So what I'm going to do eventually is I'm going to make like a kind of, under my sentences list, I'm going to make like a subs to SRS kind of template thing, and then I'm going to copy so that I've got the sentence and the audio as well, and if there's a picture that goes well with it, then maybe I'll paste the picture in as well, but so I can copy all of that over, so I've got the audio as well, just if I need it. But that's kind of where I'm going to get most of my sentences from. It's kind of from this. If there's anything that I can't find from this, then I'm going to use Weblio. Just get that up. Yeah, so I'm going to use Weblio. So here's Watashi on Weblio. It's got loads and loads of sentences. There's also another one. So I've got shortcuts on my keyboard. If I type Y and then I go like that, Yorue. So you can see I use this as well. yeah, so my plans are I'm going to immerse as much as possible. I'm going to, anytime there's a word that I want to learn, I'm going to find an I+1 sentence somewhere, and then I'm going to learn it. Even over the last 3 months, because I haven't really stopped immersing. I haven't been immersing full time. I've been kind of slowly building my way up so that I don't burn out. But I am getting the point now where I'm immersing pretty much full time. Like, I have my headphones in nearly all the time with something like some podcast or Netflix or Crunchyroll or something playing in the background. And I have noticed my comprehension has skyrocketed since at the beginning. Like, I can understand most of anime like that I've seen before. I can very easily follow what's going on. I won't understand every single word, but I can understand the gist of what they're talking about. Before, I would understand literally nothing before I started, so I've already got that. I'm hoping over the next couple of months that it will start to get easier and easier and easier as I start to get a couple thousand sentences. Then I'll switch to monolingual sentences in my deck. So I have a monolingual sentence deck that I'll add, where I've got the word on the front, and then I'll literally just have like the dictionary definition on the back. So I've got this dictionary app here, so you can see I was looking up funiki. So I'll put all the definition on the back, and then that will literally be it for my card. So I want to switch over to that over the next couple of months. But yeah, so this is my first AJATT video. I'll probably make a video every 1,000 sentences roughly, so every 2 blog posts I'll probably make a video just on how my progress has been. This video will probably be the longest one, because I mean I kind of gave a little bit of an introduction on my story, but yeah, so thanks for watching, and then I'll see you again.